if I look at ITAR regulations and export compliance, and if I look at, complying with US regulatory requirements, we have so many vendors and subcontractors and people out there today that are acting and are responsible for ensuring, security and compliance. The lack of compliance in some of those areas, how does that potentially affect you in defense operations?
Well, I think it's absolutely critical. And I'd remind you, in the world today, most contractors are held accountable to attestations that my supply chain, my compliance, my components, all are in accordance with. And you get a statement. What you don't get is total visibility through that chain. And in today and tomorrow's world, that visibility through the chain is going to be mandatory. And if you look at some of the recent executive orders here in the United States and other things, you're going to see that in a year, if you can't maintain that visibility, that integrity, that compliance guarantee, you will not be eligible. You will be non-compliant for many government programs in the future. It is absolutely critical to maintain that compliance so you know the status of your integrated, very complicated systems of tomorrow.
So Manoj, how can Ramco Systems and Solutions assist people in maintaining compliance, whether they be an OEM or whether they be, a supplier? How can systems help provide, compliance meeting those regulations?
Yeah. So I think, all of us have heard of and, in some way involved in this cybersecurity maturity model certification, right? CMMC, which has become very paramount from at least from the IT systems perspective. We have to be compliant with a lot of regulations that are underneath this CMMC. And this is becoming more and more stringent given the cybersecurity threat that's coming our way. So, but when you look at these compliance, there are multiple different aspects to the compliance, right? One is, of course, people-wise, are you compliant when you are working on a program, whether it is actual execution of that program or the system supporting that program? So people aspect of it, one has to be, in some cases, extreme cases, top security clearances, etc., are required when I talk about people. And there are processes that have to be followed in terms of documents that have to be created at the right time for certain, let's say, export regulations that have to be complied with. When you ship parts or documents to certain countries, then certain export regulations come into picture. Do you have processes that enable and ensures that compliance from process perspective? And the last is the software product that enables these compliances, right? Are they capable enough to be able to have, for example, parts defined, and if certain parts are supposed to be ITAR compliant part, are you able to tag those parts in the system as ITAR compliant and be able to flag all the right processes at the right time as the part goes through the various process in the organization? So there are multiple different aspects to it. Clearly, from our perspective, and then of course the last thing is when you are enabling or hosting these applications, are they in an environment that is CMMC compliant? For example, they have to be FedRAMP compliant on a Gov cloud, right? So all these aspects have to be taken into consideration when we talk about compliances. And it's always a moving target because more and more regulations are getting thrown into the CMMC, and it's become stricter and stricter. But we look at it compliances from all of these perspectives. So we make sure that if, depending upon the classified or unclassified nature of the program is, we put the right people in those projects and programs. We have the processes and systems defined in our tool to enable those compliances as well. And of course, we rely on our hosting partners who are FedRAMP compliant to enable the Gov Cloud aspect of it as well.
Now, this is an area that many companies are really unfamiliar with. Do you have subject matter experts in this area that can really assist people in developing what are their needs in this area?
Absolutely. In fact, one of the reasons why we have Bob as our partner, business partner, is because of his experience in enabling us organizationally as well as product-wise to remain and become more and more compliant. but we also rely on certain third-party companies that exclusively work on trade compliances, and we take their assistance in ensuring that we remain compliant. Yes.